So, yesterday I spent some time cleaning out my pantry space because it was so full of stuff. I literally had a trail. This is where all of my extra kitchen stuff is, all my canned goods, all my dry goods are back here. I have a deep freezer back here, and it's also a catch-all, so everyone's jacket, my boots, the certain animal food is back here, and it was ridiculous. Like I couldn't find anything back here. So I went through, started ripping everything apart, organizing stuff. And when I tell you that I had so much canned food back here that wasn't getting used, and as much as it hurt to throw it away and get rid of it, I made the choice that my space, Kitty, you're messing with my tripod. You're making it wobble. Stop it. If you want to cuddle, come over here. Oh, now he's gonna go away. It's my rescue kitty. He normally doesn't go far from my bedroom. He's scared of everything. Anyways, I had made the choice that a clean space was more important than having a stockpile of certain foods. So let me explain. When I got into this lifestyle, I wanted to make everything from scratch, right? I wanted to make the bread from scratch, the noodles, cottage cheese, the cheese, milk my own goats, and all of those things I have done, and they're all very useful skills. I don't regret learning how to do any of those things or getting certain tools. Like I got a small milk machine because I had no idea what I was doing, and it was so much easier to use a milk machine on my goats than spending an extra 30 minutes doing it by hand when I work full time. I don't have all the time in the world to do all of these things. While I can make noodles from scratch, and I do occasionally, I don't do it every single time I'm going to make spaghetti or lasagna. There are still things that I buy from the store because it's convenient, and I've come to learn that that's okay. Like I said, I think it's a lot of very useful life skills to know how to do all of these things. But when I'm taking care of the garden and all of these animals and working full time, there's just no way that there's any time for me or my own peace. And I've made peace with that. I'm okay with still buying Campbell's soup from the store because my kids like it. I mean, they didn't grow up in this lifestyle. They were already almost teenagers when we moved onto this property, when I started becoming more of an ingredient household. And while I've always been a big baker and I've always loved to cook, I never took it as far as canning everything, making absolutely everything from scratch. No, we don't need that. I can make it type of thing at the store. But I noticed when I was cleaning out my pantry yesterday, there was so many cans of food from years ago that I still hadn't used. And I'm not exactly a doomsday prepper, but I am also someone that likes to be prepared. After 2020, that whole thing that everyone would love to forget even happened. I think everyone can agree that having a little bit of extra is never a bad thing. I've always learned to stock up because growing up and not having enough money for something, it really sucked running out of toilet paper and not being able to go buy toilet paper. So I've just started learning to always have a little bit extra. So when I run out of toilet paper and I grab from the next stack, I buy another one. And then I know that I need to buy one to replace my extra, if that makes sense. So there's always one extra. I'm never completely out of anything. And I kind of held on to that with the whole idea of food. So every time I use my bag of rice, I pull from my spare area. And then when that's gone, I know I need to restock that. So I'm never truly out of anything. And I think I took that too much to heart when I learned to preserve things because I had so many cucumbers. Like, apparently, we don't eat as many cucumbers as I originally thought we would have. I still had probably a dozen jars from 2023 of cucumbers that we clearly didn't use. And even though I knew they weren't exactly crunchy anymore because obviously I've been pulling from them, I could still use them for like relish for like potato salads and egg salads and stuff. So, and they weren't bad. I mean, they were still edible food, but I've also gotten a lot better over the years with canning and my recipes. So I decided that all of these old cans needed to go. I needed space for this garden season too, right? And so I went through and I dumped several dozens of jars, and you can see like what I'm talking about when I say like the cucumbers were mushy. They weren't bad, they were still edible, but not something you could just eat on its own, right? Like it'd be good for like burgers or like salads, like I had said. But my point is, even though I wanted to can everything under the sun, I learned what I need for my family in that aspect. I learned that I don't need to make 4 dozen jars of different kinds of pickles, hot pickles, spicy pickles, speared pickles, sliced pickles, relish, pickled peppers. Hey, don't you dare get up there. It's all nice and clean. He's only back here because I'm back here. Nosy. And so as I did this giant clean out, I was thinking about like I should make a YouTube video about this, you know, and that's why I'm sitting down now. I probably should have done it while I was doing it so you guys could get a better grasp of how much I truly had. I did take a couple short videos so you could see, but I was clearly overwhelmed. Like there's lots of stuff back here. Like this corner back here is all like extra stuff that like can't go outside in the shop because it's heat protected, or like some of my like my bottles are back here, my chicken heaters and animal stuff. Like there's still other things back here, but it's mostly all jars. And I'll show you how I have my stuff organized now because it makes it so much easier. I had an extra shelf back here before, and I don't think I have a video to show you guys because I had so much kitchen tools. And these aren't even my pots and pans. These are like my blenders, my pressure cookers, my mixers, my crock pots, things that I don't use on an everyday basis. I put back here for like storage, but they're things that I use often enough that I don't want to get rid of. I've been trying to do a lot better about getting rid of like single use items, so I don't buy those things anymore. And I'm slowly kind of getting rid of all of those things so I have space back here, because when I tell you, when you get into canning, it takes up a lot of space and you don't realize until you're overran. And like I said, I will show you guys. I have a whole shelf I'm staring at right now that is just all empty jars. All empty jars. And then I have rings and rings and rings. I have some in my room. I don't know why they're in my room. I have some hanging. And I remember when I first started out canning, I was like, I need more jars. I need more jars. And I needed more jars because I had so much shit from years ago that I wasn't getting rid of, which is funny, you know, like in these jars, like they're not bad. So you don't think you have to get rid of stuff like every single year, because as long as you do it right, and it's in a semi-stable temperatured environment, they will be good for years. But like I said, my family wasn't using them. And now I know not to can so much. But let me go over some of the things that we do use a lot that I feel like I could can over and over and over again, and I could never have enough of. Canned meat. Canned meat is very, very useful. You know, whether it's beef or chicken, it's not as hard as you think it is to do. It is really easy to do with a pressure cooker. I'm not a rebel canner. I'm still fairly new to canning, and I'm not comfortable with a lot of those rebel recipes. And if you are, that's fabulous for you. But I am still, I've been doing this for years, and I would still say that I'm a beginner. I still follow the recipes because I want to make sure I'm doing these things right. I'm not going to take a chance of ruining all this food. So I have all that stuff right here. Broth, bone broth, vegetable broth. I put that stuff in everything. I mean, everything. So when I go through, I take a chicken out of the freezer, I throw it in the crock pot, you know, shred it out, take all the meat off of it. And then I just put the carcass back in the original water, add some veggies if I want to or don't, and let it cook for another 24 hours at least. And then you just can it. You could water bath that. I pressure can it because it's just easy. That's what I'm used to doing. And I will put this broth in everything. So, like when you're making rice, instead of water, use your canned broth. It adds so much flavor and nutrients to your dish. Like anything when you're cooking that requires water, you can just use the broth instead. So that is something that I haven't had to buy from the store for years because I always have an abundance of it. We have all of our own chicken and beef. So all of those bones, when I'm cooking, I just save them. And like I said, the chicken is real easy just to leave the carcass in there. But like if I'm just cooking a single steak, I'll just put it in like a gallon baggie and make sure you label it because I have found things in the freezer that I don't know what they are. Always label your stuff. Don't I don't care if you think you're going to remember what it is because in 3 months I won't. So if you're anything like me, just label the damn bag. Anyways, just put it in a bag until you have enough beef bones to make a broth. And then, like I said, canned beef, a lot of veggies. I have a bunch of different things here. Like I like pickled jalapenos. I feel like we use a lot of because I like making jalapeno bread, and I put it on top, kind of like how like Quiznos or Subway has those like jalapeno hoagie rolls. It's kind of like that. It makes really good sandwich bread. And canned corn, green beans. I don't feel like I use beans enough. I did can beans, and that is something else that I actually threw away because they had been here for so many years and they're just taking up space. I'm like, I'm clearly not going to use them if I haven't for this many years. I'm just going to get rid of them. So, I mean, when I'm ready to make chili or whatever bean recipe, I just pull them out and soak them. I don't buy canned beans at the store either. I just soak them overnight and then the next day I can make whatever I want to make with them. I do like tomato based things, so like marinaras, tomato sauce, salsas, lots of different kinds of salsas. I do have a lot of those things on my shelf still. We do use those quite a bit. So that is something that I did not have to throw away because I'm actually almost out. I think I have 2 jars left. And we are just getting into gardening season where my tomatoes are about to take off. So that's perfect timing because I'm going to be making some fresh tomato sauce here soon and I cannot wait. It's so yummy. Baked beans. So I know I said I don't can beans, but I did can some baked beans and those are on the shelf. Asparagus, carrots, like those kinds of like side veggies that go with food. What else here? I do have some stews up there, some ham and beans, some vegetable soups, not a lot. Like I said, my kids still prefer like the Campbell's soup just because that's what they grew up eating. And you got to pick and choose your battles, man. My kids are all teenagers and I didn't grow up in this lifestyle. And there are certain things that I don't prefer to eat. So I can't expect the same thing of them. And so, like I had said before, is kind of pick and choose your battles. I don't love buying a lot of these things from the stores. I know they're full of chemicals that I can't pronounce, but when it comes to my time and energy and what I actually am able to do, there is so much I am able to do, and what I can do is good enough. There will be some weeks where I make absolutely everything from scratch because I have the time and the energy and I want to spend it all standing up in the kitchen. And there are other days where we order, or other weeks where we order Pizza Hut and I buy buns from the store because I'm too lazy to make bread, or I'm buying whatever. The kids are eating top ramen. The kids love top ramen. Can't take their top ramen from them. Oh my gosh. I remember when I was in high school and me and my friends would go to the Dollar Tree and people would get top ramen from the Dollar Tree, put that seasoning on it, and then just eat it dry. Fucking gross. I think top ramen is disgusting, but it is like a staple for their generation. At least like there's this new trend where you like add an egg to it. So at least there's a little bit of protein and nutrients in it that way. I tried doing rice noodles for them one time, making homemade like top ramen. They didn't love it. They said the texture was really weird, and I still have a ton of those rice noodle packs because we just haven't made it through all of them. And if I didn't work full time and I didn't have as many animals that I'd have, I probably would have more time to bake from scratch, to make all these things from scratch. And I have learned how to do a lot of these things, like I said, I've dabbled in cheese making, and cottage cheese is really easy to make. I've milked the goats for a time period. I've had whey in the freezer because I've had so much left over. All of these things are good life skills to have, but it's not something on my everyday basis that I'm able to manage. And so that is why I buy those kinds of things from the store. Who is screaming? I have baby goats in my backyard right now, and they were screaming. So I was just checking on them to see why they were screaming. They're fine. I don't know why they're screaming still, because they can. You can see my dogs out. I don't know. Anyways, let's get back to it. We were talking about canning. I guess this whole video is mostly about trial and error, I guess you can say. Like anything, when you learn new skills, it's all going to become trial and error. You learn what works for you and your family, in your household, and what doesn't. And it took me a few years to realize, like, when I did this big clean out, some things just clearly aren't worth canning for my family. Like, we're not going to use those things, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But now I know I can put my energy and my time into things that we will be using. So maybe instead of spending all of this extra time in the summer canning dozens upon dozens of cucumbers that we're not going to eat, maybe those are the weeks that I will actually have time to make homemade bread now, or to make a homemade pizza, or just sit down and spend a little bit more time with my family. And that's great. Even though once upon a time I used to want to be a person that made everything from scratch and that didn't buy anything from the store and was a completely 100% ingredient household, that ended up not being the way it turned out. And that's okay. It gives me the opportunity to put my time and energy into other things around my homestead, spending time with my family, or just time for me. So when you're starting to get into canning and you want to learn how to preserve everything under the sun, I still say go for it, because you need to learn what's going to work for you and your family, and you're never going to know until you try it. And like I said, I'm a big trial and error person. Like, you're not going to know if you and your family like certain things until you go for it. And just like every garden is going to be a little bit different. For instance, I don't grow zucchini. My family and we do not grow zucchini. So just because everyone else grows zucchini doesn't mean I'm going to. And canning's the same way. Just because everyone else, cans asparagus or pickles or corn, like, if that's something in your household that you're not going to use, don't feel obligated to can it and preserve it if it's not something that is a staple in your family meals. Just like I learned that I clearly don't need 4 dozen pickles every year, because we just aren't going to eat them. Yeah, my kids love pickles, but not enough to eat 4 dozen cans a year. And now I know that. Now I know they would rather enjoy them fresh during the summer, and I will just cut them up with dinner and for snacks and things like that. And that's fine too. There's always going to be a learning curve with learning something new. And just like canning, you will learn what fits your life and what doesn't. And when it comes to, I always say, when you're starting out, to follow the recipes. And I've been doing this for a few years, like I said, and I still follow the recipes. There are things like I do keep my lids. They say don't reuse lids, but they're my fail safe. So like if I can't get any from the store, as long as they seal, they're fine. It's not necessarily that you can't reuse them. They're just less likely to reseal. And that's a chance you're just going to have to take if you ever reuse lids. But I do use them for things I'm not canning. So like if I'm just throwing something in the fridge or I'm dry canning something, I can reuse those lids just to keep the lid on it, because we use jars for everything around here. Like I take soup to work in jars sometimes or salads. And I have those twist on plastic ones, but the metal ones are fine too. All right, well, there was my 2 cents on canning since I cleaned out my pantry yesterday and I realized how much crap I did actually have. And this is your reminder to not follow the masses and to grow and can and preserve what actually fits your family and your time. And don't feel bad if you end up having to buy things from the store because it's okay that you do. You have to pick and choose your battles. And if you are one of those people that was like me and want to have a completely ingredient household and can and preserve everything from scratch, you go for it. I hope the best for you. But if you're not able to do that, just know that it's okay too. Whatever you can grow and preserve is good enough. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.